Okay, I wanted the Suns to win this series, and I thought they were going to, but the Bucks deserved it. After 50 years without a championship, Giannis and the Bucks went through the Heat, Nets, Hawks, and finally the Suns to claim the 2021 NBA championship. That's Jimmy Butler, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Trae Young, Chris Paul, and Devin Booker, all superstars that the Bucks had to defeat to get to this place. Welcome to Sportsified News. I'm Braylon, and here's my reaction and takeaways from the series-clinching Game 6 of the NBA Finals.
Sportsified.
So I took a bunch of notes while watching this Game 6 that won the series for the Bucks, so I'm just going to list off some of them and just give you my thoughts on what happened in that game. So the first quarter was really ugly for both sides. The Bucks had 7 turnovers, but they came out of the first quarter up 29-16. That's a 13-point lead, and the Suns only scored 16 points. But one thing that stood out to me from that quarter is that the Bucks have a really good defensive starting lineup, with Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jrue Holiday, Brook Lopez, PJ Tucker, and Khris Middleton to an extent. They all play really good defense. Then the second quarter came, and the Suns charged back. They outscored Milwaukee in the second quarter 34-13, and to go up by 5 at the half. Chris Paul had 13 points and 4 assists in the second quarter alone, but just Cameron Payne is a walking bucket. I didn't realize how good of a basketball player Cameron Payne really is until this playoffs and finals. Everyone thought he was going to be a bust because he was a pretty high pick in the draft that he was in, but now he's turned out to be a really good scorer off the bench for the Suns team. And I'll get to this later a little bit, but I think the Suns could have a dynasty starting here in Phoenix. Something the Suns did really well, I noticed, was that they had 3 fouls on Khris Middleton with 5 minutes left in the second quarter. That's a really good position they put themselves in, by getting Khris Middleton on the bench to close out the half, and then maybe less minutes in the second half until the fourth quarter comes. And I noticed that Monty Williams, the Suns coach, was subbing out DeAndre Ayton when Giannis Antetokounmpo subbed out, which made sense because Ayton is one of their best defenders and he has a size to match up with Giannis in the paint. So they subbed him out when Giannis went out of the game, which was pretty rare, but to give Ayton those rest minutes. Also for the Suns, I talked about Cameron Payne. Cameron Johnson is a really good role player as well. He was the 10th pick in the 2019 draft, if I'm not mistaken, and everyone thought that was a little bit of a reach for him, but he's developed. I don't think he'll ever be a star. Even though he was the 10th pick, he'll never be a star. But he is a really good role player for the Suns team. And something throughout this game, Giannis Antetokounmpo actually shot good from the free throw line. Really, really good. When the game was over, his final line from the free throw line was 17 for 19, which is so much better than what he was doing coming into this game. It was very impressive. Giannis Antetokounmpo just looked like the best player on the court by a lot, which he was, 2-time MVP, but he looked like the most determined, most ready. He wanted to win the most, and that's what happened in the end. So first half is over, and the Suns led by 5. Both teams came out for 17 turnovers in the first half, and it was pretty low scoring, so kind of an ugly first half for Game 6 in the NBA Finals. But near halftime, they were showing they had a shot from outside of Fiserv Forum, the Bucks Stadium, and there were 65,000 people outside the Bucks Stadium cheering them on, right outside the stadium on the big screen that they had sitting out there, which was just really impressive, and it's a lot of people than what we've been used to over the past year. So the third quarter came, and by this point, Giannis was just taking over. He was acting like the MVP he is, and at the end of the game, he finished with 50 points, 14 rebounds, 2 assists, and 5 blocks, while shooting 16 for 25 from field goals. It was just a legendary performance, one of the best performances of all time in the playoffs, and he led the Bucks to this win. But back to the third quarter, there was a key play by Jay Crowder. He had an and 1 3 to take the lead with 7 minutes left in the third. I thought that was a big moment for the Suns as they were, trying to extend the lead a little bit and run away from the Bucks and try to force a Game 7. But then Brook Lopez entered back into the game. He had some big buckets too. So did Bobby Portis to start the fourth quarter, and Frank Kaminsky on the Suns side. But at this point, I was thinking, it's a close game, and I checked the stats, and Devin Booker, he hadn't been doing anything. He did not heat up at all yet. And by the end of the game, he really hadn't found his stroke. He finished with less than 20 points, I think. Yeah, 19 points. He was 8 for 22, over 7 from the 3-point line. Just not a good game for Devin Booker. I know he's better than that. He's been really good in these playoffs. He had an off game in this Game 6, which is really unfortunate for the Suns. Also, Khris Middleton was not very active throughout this game, but he came out clutch in the closing moments in the fourth quarter. But the Bucks won, 105-98. Giannis Antetokounmpo was the story. Again, 50 points, 14 rebounds, 5 blocks, 17 for 19 from the free throw line, which is the thing that impresses me the most. All the work he's put in from the charity stripe hadn't shown up yet, but it did when his team needed it the most. So he won Finals MVP, and again, I wanted the Suns to win, but I can't help but be happy for Giannis Antetokounmpo. He goes from growing up in the streets, selling things on the streets to make a living. Now here he is with the Milwaukee Bucks, the team that drafted him 15th overall. Came up with them. He built the Milwaukee Bucks. Him and Khris Middleton, like Mike Budenholzer said, their coach, they built this. It's really impressive to me. The thing I like the most about this is that it's not a super team. Yeah, this is coming from a Warriors fan, but I do like that it's not a super team that won this. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Khris Middleton, Jrue Holiday. That's not the big three that we've become accustomed to. Like the Nets, who they beat in 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals with Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden. It's nothing like that at all. Giannis Antetokounmpo really led the Bucks up from the time he got here. They just progressed every year. Now here they are on the top of the NBA, the best basketball league in the world. It's very impressive. It's Milwaukee's first Finals win in 50 years. Giannis's 50-point game is tied for the 6th most points in a game in Finals history. Yeah, I really think beating the Nets in 7 games was kind of overlooked. Coming into this, everyone was looking at the Suns and Devin Booker and Chris Paul, looking at what a role they were on. But the Bucks took down the preseason favorites, and it's really impressive. But back to the Suns, their outlook for me, I think they could be a dynasty. Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton are still young. Ayton gets underlooked a lot, I think. Even though he was the first pick in 2018, people always say, they should have taken Trae Young or Luka Doncic. But DeAndre Ayton is still a really good player, probably a top 10 center in the NBA at this point. But not a great look for Chris Paul, as he became the first player to blow 4 2-0 leads in his career. So those are my main takeaways from this. Those are just stuff of the notes I took. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this game. What you think about the Bucks and the Suns and their future outlook. And Giannis, how good do you think he'll be? When he retires, where will he be on the all-time greats list? Certainly a great performance in the Game 6 in the NBA Finals here. So thanks for watching Sportsified News. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and check out our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. I'll catch you in the next one.